to Mic Check Waifu Waifu.
Mic check, waifu, waifu. Teliano, is that you?
What's up, 204?
This is episode 204 of Mic Check, Waifu, Waifu. As always, it's brought to you by Lube Complex. Make sure you go to lubecomplex.com. Use the offer code waifu to save on your entire cart. It's also brought to you by patreon.com. Patreon.com/Mic Check, Waifu, Waifu. You get early access to this video version of the podcast before it goes live on Saturday to everybody else. You get access to the after story, our conversational exclusive Patreon podcast. We just did the most recent episode we did was on the Sony showcase, which is very interesting. The opinion is coming from two guys who aren't in the console camp. I mean, we have consoles, like I have a PS5, you know what I'm saying? I have, you know, I've dabbled in both consoles in my day, but we just gave our opinion as people who are not biased. So, which is a future decree of what we're going to talk about today, which is going to be very interesting. I can't wait to have this discussion and see where it goes. But thanks to our Patreon producers who keep the lights on every single week, every single month. We appreciate y'all so very much for supporting us at the Weeb tier. Thank y'all so much. Go to patreon.com/Mic Check Waifu Waifu if you want to support us at that tier and get your name shout out at the beginning of every show, like Dre to Go G, Johnny from Shogo High, Cat the Pro from Chaotic Culture and Shogo High explicitly, Monique Williams, Nachi, Saphir. Thank y'all so much for producing this and many other episodes of the podcast. We truly couldn't do it without y'all. Y'all mean the world to us. Thank you so much for producing this and many other episodes. Gosh, man, shout out to our folks that are on our Discord as well. That's in the hashtag Anime Talk channel. We be having some great conversations in there. Shout out to TCB and Saphir for chopping it up with us after every show, talking about what we discussed on the show. And just join our Discord. Our Discord is in our link tree, which is in our bio on all of our social medias. So check that out. We truly appreciate y'all coming through in the Discord and having those conversations, because it's, and Nachi too. Nachi swing by in the DMs and on Discord too to have some dope conversations there. Again, we appreciate that. Now, Mic Check Waifu Waifu is the anime podcast. It's brought to you every Tuesday at 9:30 CDT. We bring you anime topics, seasonal show discussions, and many more, and much more. So thank y'all for rocking with us. Tell, how you feeling, brother?
Man, look, I feel good. I got my polo on tonight. I ain't gonna cap. I don't feel all that good. I'm a little sick, but y'all gonna get this love.
We can tell.
Episode. It's gonna be a great episode. You can't tell. Can't nobody tell.
They could definitely tell. Listen, when I went back to our old episodes, and one of the ones I listened to was one where I was sick. Bro, it's such a contrast, especially with the edit I do. Like the reverb and shit and everything that I add to our voices. Man, we be sounding like so crystally clear that if one of us is even sorely slipping in our voice by a little bit, y'all gonna hear the difference. I'm definitely gonna hear the difference. But Tell, you look good, man. Even if you don't feel good, you look good.
I be trying my best, bro.
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm feeling pretty good. Just, you know, shaking and baking. What
you baking?
This Diablo 4 coming out this weekend, this Thursday, actually, for early access people like I am. I am a sucker for early access stuff, man. It gets me every single time. Every trip, man. They say, hey, you get early access if you spend an extra $40. All right, here you go. Spend $100. But to be fair, though, I'm a fan of Diablo. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I've been a fan since you brought, what was that, Diablo 2 or Diablo 3?
Well, so I think the first time I played with you was Diablo 3. Diablo 2 was the first one I played.
I think Diablo. No, you know what? Diablo 2. I played at my Auntie Kenya house.
Yeah. I know Diablo 3. That's when I was in college, and I know I played that, and you was on board.
Yeah, I was definitely on board. What were you? You were like was it Witch Doctor? No, it wasn't Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor wasn't out yet. It was.
I was the
Rogue. Ranger. Because Diablo 3 was different. I hate Diablo 3, by the way. It was different though. I was on board at first because it was Diablo, and I was hip to Diablo 2.
Right.
But then when you play Diablo 3 like for real, it's like, fuck, man, this game kind of sucks.
Well, it wasn't that bad. It was just more like, how many different levels of hell you gonna do before it's just like, okay.
Well, that's every Diablo game, though.
I know, but it's like, I don't know. After you beat the story the first time, and then you kind of make sure you just hit all the little nooks and crannies, it didn't really feel like, it just felt like repetition. And now we just playing because we want to diversify our builds and just be ridiculous.
That's a fact. You know what else I noticed?
What's that?
I don't really have, like, there's times where I get too excited for one thing that I don't want to do anything else.
I understand that.
Because, for example, like, I haven't touched any other PC. I played a little bit of Warframe. I'm sorry for the non-video game people who come to this podcast, but I just got to get this off my chest.
Anime shortly, don't worry.
Yeah, very shortly. I've been turning on Warframe for like 20 minutes at a time, 30 minutes at a time, and I turn it off because I'm too excited to play Diablo that I just don't want to play anything else. It was like this for Hogwarts Legacy when Harry Potter came out. What else was it like this for? Lost Ark before that came out. Cyberpunk 2, yes. That's exactly it. Cyberpunk, I wasn't playing shit else.
Even way back when the Elder Scrolls MMO came out.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Like that too, because I remember we was literally talking about it for days.
I don't want to play anything else.
What game you want to play? Man,
it's a rough feeling, man. And I'm in that mode right now. Diablo comes out Thursday. Like I said, 6. I think I'm gonna stream it. Normally I don't stream on Thursdays, but I think I'm gonna stream it at about. It comes out at 6, so I'll be live at like 5:40 or something like that. Because this is a big deal. This is the first Diablo game since Diablo 3, which is like I think 12 years ago or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was like 2011 or 12. So
Jesus Christ, till I know you for too damn long. That's insane. That's a long time. More than half our life.
It ain't that long, bro.
That's a long time, man.
That's a little bit of time.
That's a long time.
You know me longer than my kids know me.
Well, yeah. So shout out to Shogo High and Inside the Mind of a Blurred. And shout out to Scuba Steve himself, actually, for dropping a new webtoon. Let me pull it up real quick to give his proper shout out, because
it's Wake the Dead.
Wake the Dead. There it is. Wake the Dead. Spoiler, Steve just dropped a webtoon called Wake the Dead. So make sure if you got webtoons, which everybody that listens to this podcast, probably you do, you go listen to, you go comment, you go give 5 stars to Wake the Dead by Scuba Steve, our friend, our brother. And then shout out to Shogo High, J Lee Trey, Rob J, and Scuba Steve. They were all at MomoCon. It looked like they had a good time. Shout out to JB versus the world. They all had a good time. I love seeing those pictures. Like, I love living vicariously through our friends instead of going to those places, because goddamn it, I don't know if I want to deal with that shit.
I feel you. I've been to a couple of cons and it's too much sometimes.
It's just too much, man. It'll be emotionally draining, and I don't know if I have the battery for all that socializing.
It's more than emotionally draining, bro. You get there and you see 1,000 people, your energy just be sapped. You bro, I gotta walk through 1,000 of y'all.
That's crazy.
My hearts. Why am I fighting 1,000 heartless?
My anxiety would not be able to handle it. Like, even going to the Galleria Mall, man, it was too much. I was gonna die. I was sweating and shit. And maybe it was because I had on a suit in Houston, Texas. But
you had on a whole ass suit,
a whole full suit.
You ain't had the blazer on, but you had the vest and the tie.
Oh yeah,
the cufflinks going.
Listen, I gotta do it. You know I gotta do it right when I do it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness. Oh,
shout out to the Lou Complex new gilded flag I got put up. Lou Complex original succubus character. She behind me if you're watching the video version. She fire. Yeah, all right, I guess we can get to some anime. If you don't mind me starting this week with anime of the week. It was going to be, you know what? It's going to be a show that you not expecting. Okay.
What's the show I'm not expecting?
Danger's in My Heart. is my episode of the week this week. What a fucking fantastic episode. This show is fantastic. I'm going to keep saying its praises. The only reason why it's not another show, which I think Taylor's going to say, is because it's like Dangerous in My Heart needs more love. I swear to God, it needs more love. Like, people need to turn it on, get through those first few episodes, because again, those first few episodes are a little bit too much, a little bit much in the what Crystal say, the cringy department, and she right. But if you stick with it, you won't be disappointed, because this is, I love the development, I love the progress, I love progress in anime, man. It's very important to me. So yeah, what about you?
Man, the Slice of Life was on point this week, though, bro.
Facts, big facts.
Galaxy Next Door hit. Oshinoko hit. My episode of the week, though, is Insomniacs After School.
Yeah, good.
That's the one you thought I was gonna pick?
Yes.
Yeah, bro. Come on. Come on.
I was hoping you picked it.
Because I was like, yo.
Wait. Time out though. Time out. Are you doing the Insomniacs After School for Monday? Because, okay, technically we're recording on Monday right now. We normally record on Sunday, which is
not today's episode.
Not today's episode. Okay, good.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, this is everything I needed. This is everything I needed.
It was beautiful. It was so beautiful.
And I'm not even gonna say it was everything I needed, because I could have got more, but I was so satisfied, bro. It was on. So yeah. I loved this episode week for sure.
With this time paradox,
it has some tough competitors too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just about to say with this time paradox we got going on, when we normally record on Sundays, but when we have a day like today, we're recording on Monday, and we watched the newest Insomniacs After School, or we watched the newest Cheat Skill. Like it feels weird, you know, because now we got to put those over the next week. We'll talk about these this week.
I don't know if you saw it, but I actually had to go back and uncheck them, because I checked them right before. I was like, oh, hold on. Let me make sure I uncheck them, just to make sure, like, I don't mess up my list while I'm looking at it while we're recording, you know?
I always tell you, bro, use that list to go watch your stuff, because it has. Okay, I'm gonna give it. I watched it
already, but I don't want to click it while we talking right now about it.
Right. Let me just remind you folks, okay? If you use AnyList, AnyList.co, you use AnyList and you have your currently watching shows. If you look inside the profile of the show that you're watching, scroll all the way at the bottom on the left-hand side, it shows you what streaming services that show come on. And if you click the streaming service button, it takes you right to that show, right to that episode if you watched it recently. So it's like, you just use that, and then that helps you keep track of what you need to watch and keeps you nice and organized. I might do an updated video just to do it again, and like a refresher to show everybody,
bro.
Because I'm telling you, AnyList is goated. It's so goated when it comes to keeping track of stuff to watch and stuff you need to watch.
One of my boys, he listens to the podcast, Christian. I think he tweeted us recently on Mic Check Waifu, but. He is now on AnyList. He might have followed you already.
Oh, did he? I'm about to go follow him right back.
But either way, he's been using AnyList, and he's trying to update his list and everything too. And it's actually mad easy once you actually go through and you find the names of the stuff you want to, because a lot of stuff will be suggesting you just click on that you already watched and stuff. So yeah.
Yep, it works out so well. I got a couple of follows. Ked the Pro. Okay. What's up, Ked? We follow Ked back. See, I got a few follows. Sorry, y'all. I'm Ron Iroma. Okay. I'm following you back too. Sorry, I'm just getting I'm cleaning up my list.
I didn't even realize that these people was following us.
I know, right?
Yep. Death Scythe XM X Moog is his name.
Got him. Following him back. Hey, get your AnyList together. It's a heaven sent. I still got to get mine's technically not together, because mine's only say 586 or something like that.
Yeah, mine is not together, bro.
I am fucking way past that. I think we need to make it a go. Let's make it a go this week to get our AnyList together, and then come back next week and talk about all the shows that we had to add that we've seen already. Maybe we'll do something like that.
Right.
Because
work on cleaning up the list, getting the junk out of there, and then tighten it up.
You might have to disconnect your Twitter, because that's what I had to do. I disconnected my Twitter, so then that shit wouldn't flood my timeline with everything that I've watched. Like, they'd be like, oh, you just not watching this? No, I've seen it months ago, years ago, probably, obviously. But yeah, man. All right. So let's start off with your topic because I think it tells way into my topic pretty nicely. Yeah, it does. It does actually perfectly.
All right. So a lot of y'all know I'm a manga reader. I read a decent amount of manga. My favorite being Twin Star Exorcist. And I have been reading what?
How many weeks since we had that?
It's been months because it only comes out once a month. So I only get a monthly update. I be yo, you know how they imagine you're in the desert, you in the camp, and then you see that oasis with all that water you get.
A mirage.
I'd be like, oh, it's the first of the month. Twin Star Exorcist is out. And they'd be like, oh no, it comes out on the 3rd. And I'm like, come on, bro. Why I gotta wait? And here I am waiting for my oasis. I'm thirsty. I don't care. I love it.
Didn't you say it do be like 40 pages though?
Yeah, it's like 40, 50 pages.
Love that.
But and that's worth it too. Yeah, it's a ton of dialogue. So it's basically reading the whole book. But my point is this. I am a My Hero Academia fan. But about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, I just stopped reading it. And it's something about it. I'm not sure if it's starting to feel like campy. Like it's just the manga is not really getting to the point. But what the overall my topic is about overstaying a welcome. You know what I mean? You have that friend, you have that family member, and then you have that anime, and you also have that manga that might overstay its welcome. All the love, though. All the love, yeah.
Thomas. All the love.
but you get what I'm saying, though.
Of course,
is that like when is too much? You know what I mean? Because sometimes we want more. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're eager for more. But then you get these very, very big shows like My Hero Academia, very, very big manga like My Hero Academia, and you don't want them to overstay that welcome. And that's kind of like, I would even say that's kind of what happened to, let's say, Promised Neverland. We could have tied it up nice in a bow. And one of the things that you said it came out your mouth. From Mob Psycho season 3, you was like, I'm so happy they ended there before it overstayed its welcome.
Yes, it was a beautiful end.
That's what put me here. Is like, that's exactly what it is, bro. Is that like they need to go ahead and put a bow on this so it doesn't overstay its welcome. Because it can only, at this point, it feels like it's not getting better. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like if they continue it, let it overstay its welcome, it's not going to end as a show that we can easily say is definitely a 9, sometimes an 8.5. It's going to keep going lower where we're like, yeah, it's an 8. It's cool. The story starts to teeter off at the end.
You know what? I said, Jesus, somebody had a loud motorcycle. I said this before. It was about Chainsaw Man. I was able to read that whole thing, at least the first half of it before it started releasing more, within about 3-4 days. All of the chapters, I was caught up to the very end of the quote unquote story. And you know, when Deji did his thing, and I was happy with that. I was so happy with that. Now this isn't. I'm not the hugest Chainsaw Man fan, but I did like it. I did like it enough to say like shit was fire for like just turning off your brain and just seeing that meathead shit just pop off on the manga pages. You know what I'm saying? It was so good. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, yeah, this is a perfect place for this to end. And then they come out with more chapters. And I start reading the more chapters. And the moment I start reading it, I'm already over it. I'm like, okay, it should have just stopped where it was, because now they're getting into this weird, you know, other character territory. And she's fine, but it's like, I don't really care that much anymore because I already got a full arc basically of what I needed from Chainsaw Man. And it was sick.
I already need it.
You know what else is perfect?
What's that?
Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling was sweet, man. It didn't go for too damn long. I'm so happy it didn't. It could have. We could have gotten more. There's a sequel, by the way.
Yeah, but let me tell you what the perfect point of like knowing when not to overstay your welcome and stopping at the perfect point, because we want more, but we also completely both you and I, we gonna say we want more, but we also understand that we don't need it, right?
Yes.
My Teen Romantic Comedy.
Oh my God, bro.
Was that not a perfect place to end it?
Yes.
For just the viewers, right?
Yes.
Because the speculation is enough for us to just understand where it may have gone. And yes, we got enough story to get us to the point to where this is fine. This is an okay ending. We are good. We are not disappointed in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And we might be disappointed, but the story was good enough for us to understand the disappointment or whatever, right?
Right.
And I think that's the perfect identity of like saying, it's not overstaying its welcome. So like let's I mean, more or less let's do this real quick. Give me like one point that would show you that an anime is overstaying its welcome. Like it can even be completely like subjective. It don't have to be, objective, but it can be just for you, like just emotionally, like, all right, this is too much.
Yeah. People gonna hate when I say this, but Attack on Titan could have ended after season 3. When they finally got to the sea. You know what I'm saying? That if that was it probably would be in my top 10 like it was when we first started this podcast 3 years ago. Like it could have stopped there and I would have been extremely happy with that. But it kind of overstayed its welcome, and now it's doing all this convoluted, like characters lost personality, it's doing all this convoluted, trying to get cute. That's the perfect example of one for me.
Yeah. And let me tell you what I think and what exactly that feels like, right? Exactly what that feels like is they lost direction on the story. It feels like they were like, oh yeah, I know where I want it to end, but they didn't know how to fill in the middle parts to get there. And it's like, come on, man. It ruins the
mystique.
It ruins the mystique. It ruins the consistency. It ruins the quality of like an overall show that would have been amazing. And that's what I would say. And when it starts to feel like that story is devolving, like it has passed that crescendo, that climax, and now it's not good. So at that point, that's when it's overstayed its welcome. It's like you could have ended a little bit sooner.
Creating Boruto is the perfect definition of overstaying your welcome. Like, end that Shippuden and call it, man. Shippuden was okay. Like, it wasn't as good as Naruto, but it wasn't bad either. And it didn't feel like it was overstaying its welcome until they started dropping these movies. When they started dropping these movies, and then they got the last Naruto or some shit like that, the last Naruto movie, that one was like, okay, now we're getting a little too much, but if you end here, that's perfectly fine. And they didn't. They come out with Boruto, and it's fucking a disgrace. It's a disgrace to that series. It's a disgrace to the show.
They disrespecting Naruto.
To the name itself, it harkens badness. Who's doing it well?
Who?
Just guess. In the camp of where we just was.
Ongoing anime? Bleach.
That's exactly where I wanted to go. That's exactly right. So fucking good. And it's turning out to be probably one of the better ones of the quote unquote big 3. And I say that from somebody who's air quotes only watched 500 episodes of One Piece. So I can't really say, but I think it's taking the tops for me personally as far as where it sits in my favorite quote unquote big 3 area. But that's interesting. That's interesting to discuss. Now,
one of these days, I have to address some of these One Piece fans.
100%. But before we even do that, this segue, this is a perfect Montel way into my topic, because now I want to go into like biases, man. So, and it's shout out to Romaine, the home Let Us Pray on Twitter from Worst Generation Podcast and Anime After Dark. So I think we all suffer from having biases. Like the world suffers from having biases in everything. Our biases controls like when we see certain people, like I was an asset protection team leader for many years and my job was predicated on that. And it's just, I just got to say, having that conversation with Let Us Pray, it kind of opened my eyes, because the one thing that this podcast has done for me personally, is that let me completely release when it comes to anime biases. I'm a fucking huge fan of Naruto. I am not kissing the ass of Boruto. I was a huge fan of Attack on Titan. If you go back and listen to our earlier episodes, I was fighting my demons not to put Attack on Titan in my top 10, like our top 5. It was so hard for me not to do that. And now I can say I don't like Attack on Titan. It's because like I've been able to just kind of like release my biases and just focus on the good and the bad of the anime. Now, this came from Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga season 2. I have no idea. I know everybody at Worst Gen are huge fans of Vinland Saga, and you can't tell them nothing about Vinland Saga. I know certain people are huge fans of it. Of another one, Chainsaw Man. I know people are huge fans of Chainsaw Man. I cannot tell you. I don't know how. I don't know how. What about Vinland Saga has been so incredible that season 1, it doesn't even come close to what season 1 was. You know what I'm saying? And I use your saying it's been just the white roots. Like all Vinland Saga has been is this boring farm, and it's back and forth. It's literal back and forth. I feel like I'm watching Young and the Restless, but with white slaves. It's just so boring. I said everything. Anything with Canute was good, but everything else has been melatonin. It's just been so sleep inducing.
And you know what's the best part about a show bias, right?
And I love Vinland Saga, by the way. I just want to make that clear, like season 1.
And that's the beauty of it, right? Is that you can love Vinland Saga, but here's the beautiful thing about having a show bias. We both have a personal bias in this show that is not contrary to the or predicated on the entirety of the show, right? Mm-hmm. So we both love when Canute's on screen. Whereas in season 1, we was like, Canute ain't he cool, but he
I liked him.
I thought he was okay in season 1, but this fire. Season, I think he is fire. This season, I think it's like him, his actions and everything. That whole demonstration is what's driving the show for me.
And let me. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and let me just say, I'm not gonna act like I don't know what they're doing. Right? What they're doing is they're giving us two sides of a coin. Okay, and I understand the storytelling method. Like, I'm not an anime person who is not in the know. Like, I know, I've watched so much of this shit. I promise you, I know that what they're doing and what they're trying to do is they're giving us the character, the bottom of Thorfinn, to him rising up to what he becomes at the end, to understanding that revenge, spoilers for season 1, that revenge isn't going to solve everything. And then bringing him down and bringing Canute from where, because Canute is now where, Canute in season 1 is where Thorfinn is now. Okay. Mm-hmm. But now the roles have reversed. And I know that's what they're trying to show us. I know that's the whole spectrum that they're trying to give us between the show. And it's just not that. It just hasn't been that intriguing or enticing as season 1 was.
But here's what would have made it far more enticing and interesting, right? You remember that scene they gave us, or if you've seen it, but you remember that scene they gave us when Thorfinn was facing his demons, more or less, all the people he killed?
Yep.
It should have ramped up from there. And I mean, like not specifically him having more action, but they could have paced it better. Now we've seen what he's fighting now. Let's move now. Let's keep it going now. Yeah. Let's create a pace to where it don't have to be breakneck pace, but we don't need to see him in slavery for 5 more years to get to like, okay, now the story makes sense. They could have tied a lot of this stuff together. A lot of it feels like filler at this point.
Yeah, we spent 20 about to be 22 episodes of this virtually the same shit. Now they gave us little hints of other characters development, but the characters that they gave us more attention to, we don't care. Well, I didn't care about. Like, I spent time with Canute and Thorfinn and Thorgol and all these other people that were demons in his realm. And to go to this farm of these people I just don't give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck about this blonde-haired woman, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman. I don't care about that at all. I didn't give a shit about that at all. Her spoilers, her man enough. I didn't give a shit about none of it. Not a goddamn shit about it. Okay. Still laughing at me. He had to mute. But
yeah, that was wild.
It's just everything. I don't know. But because I can release the fact that I love Vinland Saga season 1, but I can separate my biases. Like, if ReZero season 3 come out tomorrow and it's bad, I can say this is bad. And everybody on this podcast, everybody that listens to this podcast know ReZero is our number 1 anime of all time, both of ours. Like, but if it has a bad episode, I'm gonna say this shit is bad.
It just hasn't yet.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem saying that at all if it is. You know what I'm saying? Objectively or subjectively, whatever you want to call it, if it's bad, I will say that it's bad. That's what I think we need as a group of people. We have to be able to separate this shit, because there's nothing that's been good about this season 2. And not there's nothing. Okay, there has been some good stuff, but it's few and far between. And what I always say, shout out, I mentioned this to Saphir. What I always say is, if 25% of your anime is good, then your anime is bad. Your whole anime is bad. Because if it's only 25% that's good, it's an F. If I got a 25% on a test, it's bad. Sorry.
Can I do a little mini tail talk?
Yeah, please do. Tail talk. I like it.
So there was an episode that went kind of super trending. You know, One Piece, they do their thing.
Sure.
You remember the episode when Zoro popped off? It was the highly animated episode of One Piece. Said he was the king of hell, all that shit. You know, very, very neon colored animation.
I know nothing about it.
Don't worry about it. It wasn't animated extremely well. It just had pretty colors. And it looked fuzzier than Mob Psycho season 1. And I'm not even saying, because I enjoy Mob Psycho's animation, but we're talking about an extreme deviation from a show. Now, hear me out. I am a One Piece fan, but I'm also not a biased One Piece fan. That animation was not great.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it flows smoothly. I agree with that. But the quality of it, the line work, how it actually looked when you actually break it down and say, do this even look like Zoro half the time? Come on, y'all. I just can't rock with y'all. Only y'all saying that animation was better than Ufotable, Mappa, A1 Productions, anybody at this point. Because Toei be doing their thing. I agree. They have really great moments where I thought the animation was amazing just for impact. And that's one of the things with bias, is that we let bias have more impact in moments than they actually need. That's an issue. Like I said, I love One Piece. I think it's a great anime. I think it's an even better manga. But you can't let that impact of an individual moment, just because we wanted to see Zoro pop off, to where it just let us start spouting nonsense like it's better than Ufotable. Like, and it's not better than Demon Slayer.
And I guarantee you that every One Piece stan, I haven't said that word in a long time, every One Piece stan will fucking jump down your throat if they heard you say this. Well, they probably will. His name is @KingTeliano on Twitter. But
King on Twitter.
No, it's crazy, because like, you can't tell Fairy Tail fans nothing. Their shit is bad. Their show is bad. But you cannot tell them that their show is bad, because they're going to think it's the best shit ever. Even if it's a bad episode. Even if it's objectively, subjectively a bad episode, they will say it's the greatest episode, because here's why. They're going to find every excuse to make it a good episode. And I think we have to stop that as an anime community in general, because I promise you, okay.
There's so much good anime out here.
There's so much good anime. I'm trying to think of another one. What's another one that everybody's super fanatic about?
Super fanatic on?
Yeah.
Black Clover still.
Yeah, Black Clover is another one.
But we know that we can let Black Clover go.
Yeah, easily. You gotta tell me twice.
I don't know, bro.
I think Chainsaw Man is another good one. I think some about Chainsaw Man has people in crazy tizzies, because that show is exactly what I thought it was gonna be, but it even more so boring than realized. Like, I wanted to
JJK.
Yeah. No. Yeah. True. JJK
deserve it.
Yeah. JJK is phenomenal. It's been great. It hasn't, to me, in my personal opinion, hasn't had a bad episode. But I think when it does, or if it ever does, you ain't gonna be able to tell them people nothing. I don't know, man. We got to be able to separate this shit and just sit back and relax and watch it for what it is. If it's something that's bad within it, we'll tell you. I mean, there's a perfect example for me personally. I'm gonna keep it real with you, and we're gonna go into this in spoiler talk. This episode of Demon Slayer wasn't my favorite. I did not like it that much, and I can easily say that, even though this fucking podcast 3 years ago was built off of Demon Slayer. I didn't like this episode.
And I already know why, because I saw the same thing and I was like, yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like we can separate it. And I think that's what makes this podcast good, to be honest. I'm not trying to toot or nothing like that, but I think being able to just know that, hey, even the shit we love, shit, you know, and it stank sometimes.
Yeah, and even if you have your biases and you listen to us, you know, we ain't gonna fault you for your biases. We're just gonna let you know that it's
not at all. It's a bias. You definitely perfect example of the conversation we just had earlier. Them console fanboys, bro. It's crazy seeing people be like, Sony killed that showcase. No, they didn't. It was the most middling thing you've ever seen. But because you love Sony, you gonna say everything was amazing. It's amazing.
They arguably 2 or 3 exclusives with 3 games we're talking about.
That's it. And it's like, no, to them, it's the shit. It's the greatest shit since sliced bread. And you know what I think so? And this is kind of goes into what we should have talked about in the after story. What I failed to mention in the after story is that I think Sony knew that they didn't have shit, and they just wanted to come out early, say that this is what we got, don't expect anything more, let the Summer Game Fest show, and then maybe in the second half of the year they're gonna show shit like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you know, the remake, Wolverine and shit. They're gonna show that shit in the second half of the year, and that's when they're gonna try to take shit over. But
for holiday season though, like,
exactly.
I know that's when they really go. That's when they rake in the most money, but it's still like, you get people hyped now and then just don't show them nothing until it's right before holiday season. They're going to spend their money. Yeah. They're going to start saving today if you show them something right now. They should know this is how consumers work. So we want to spend the money now, not think about it.
If I had to guess, August is when they're going to come back out with the other one that's going to show Wolverine, Last of Us shit, all this shit. But y'all got to chill out, man. Y'all have to chill out. I promise you, it's okay for you to say, yeah, that was okay, even though you love something.
Man, I don't know. GameCube might have been the best game console of all time, bro.
And that's cap. That's big cap.
It had the Sony. It had the Game Boy Advance SP attached. You just on the bottom, slide in your Pokemon Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire, and you just play Pokemon. Oh yeah, come on, bro.
Yeah, it was.
It had a handle. You could pick it up with the handle on the back and just walk out the door with your game.
And we used to do that, bro. We used to play with my GameCube in my Breezeway in Maple. But I tell you what, that console suck.
I swear to God.
So bad.
I swear to God.
But I loved it, man.
I loved it, bro. It was wild. But that console was ass, bro.
It was so bad, but I loved it so much, man. I love that fucking silver GameCube. I don't even know what happened to that thing.
I had a black one and I had a purple one. Yeah. All right, this is an anime podcast.
Oh man. But yeah, man, it's you know what else I don't have biases on?
What's that?
I know I'm loving trash, man. I'm loving shows that aren't that good. And I love them. Ones? I mean, you just fucking pick a isekai, okay? And it's
Coming to Another World for a second time.
Coming to Another World for a second time. I enjoy it. It's
that
bad,
show make me want to take an arrow to the knee.
That's where we differ. It's bad, but it's a bad I enjoy.
It may be a cursed necklace to the knee. I don't know.
The what's the other one? The one where this dude's super powerful. Fucking love that one. It's bad though.
Not cheat skill.
He's a baron of a land.
Oh, Dead Play.
No.
Oh, Aristocrats.
Yes, Aristocrats.
Oh no, man, that's fire, bro. I don't care what nobody says.
It's a bad show, bro. It's a real bad show, but I love it,
I understand that. I understand that.
I fucking love it.
But hear me out on my bias. For me, that show fire. I enjoy that show every single time I turn it on, and I know it's predictable. Because I was watching the intro today and I was like, oh yeah, this must be the episode where he finally turns 21. And I was like, yo, no, this is mad predictable, but it was dope. It was cool.
It's a good show, man. It's not a good show, but it's a show I enjoy. There's a lot of that, man. There's a lot of that in my anime list that I need to put in my anime list. There's a lot of that I need to go back and watch, man. Listen, I don't know, man. I thoroughly think that as a community, we have to be able to separate it, especially when it comes to the shit we love. Because when it comes to the shit we love, we become blinded and start saying crazy shit that don't make sense. Cause I don't get it, man. What is Vinland Saga doing? Pregnant pause.
They are,
and it's not even the fact that and it's not even the fact that it's like the contents of the content. Ooh, that was a bar.
Of the content.
Yeah, the contents of the content is bad. It's the fact that we spent 22 episodes of 24 and getting nowhere, essentially doing nothing.
No, we did some stuff, bro.
I mean,
what do you mean?
Again, 25% of your show is bad. Your show is bad.
We done cut trees.
Mm-hmm.
We done pulled the stumps.
Mm-hmm.
We done cleared soil.
Mm-hmm.
We done tilled the soil, fertilized it, planted seed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Let the crops grow.
Yep.
Let the crops get destroyed by hating ass other slaves and shit. We done saved people.
Don't spoil the entire show.
This is a farming simulator.
Damn, bro, you just spoiled the whole shit now.
It's White Roots with Farming Simulator. That's what it is.
No, it's what's funny is that Tell literally just spoiled the entire show. That's all it is. That's all it's been.
It's a 9 to 5 with no manager.
It's crazy as fuck. It's crazy as fuck, bro. Around Juneteenth too. That's crazy.
Wow.
No, but seriously, I think listen, moral of the story. To wrap this topic up. I can eliminate my bias. I can understand the bad in the shows I love. Just try it. Just try to look at it. Just try to look at it from just try to look at it from a other person's perspective. Yeah, that's it. Just try to look at it from other person's perspective. All right.
Play devil's advocate for yourself. That's it.
I like that. That's a bar too. All right. You want to go to spoiler talk?
Let's do it.
Let's do a recommendation real quick. I'm going to keep recommending the show. And I just saw Rob mention it earlier on the timeline. Like, I haven't been recommending this show for 3 years. But I'm going to recommend it again for the 15th time. Masamune-kun's Revenge is a fantastic show. This summer, this next season that's coming up, there's a season 2. Watch Masamune-kun's Revenge. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. It's a great show. Fantastic slice of life. Very interesting. I already talked about the plot many times, but it's about a kid who was fat, who was out of shape, who attempted to confess his love to the girl of his dreams, quote unquote, to his childhood friend, and she turned him down, and he felt like he wanted to do everything in his power to get his revenge. He felt like she turned him down because he was fat, so he got in shape, he got pretty, he got nice, and now he's focusing on getting her to fall in love with him to get his revenge. It's a great show. Watch Masamune-kun's Revenge. I recommend it too many times. I'm gonna do it again because Rob ain't hear me apparently, and Rob listened to a lot of episodes.
I mean, I don't know, bro. That's good enough. That's a good enough recommendation. I feel like what I was gonna say, I feel like most people have already watched. But let's go with man.
My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu.
I was gonna say that, but then I was like, I already said it earlier, so then I was gonna just say, let's just make sure y'all watch Made in Abyss.
Okay, that's a great one too. Holy shit.
Yeah. It's got a lot. Just make sure you watch Made in Abyss.
If you haven't, please.
Especially if you, it ain't even about depth. If you just want something to turn on, that's good.
Technically, it's about depth.
I know that's why I was not trying to get to. I wasn't trying to talk about depth. But if you just want something to turn on, pun intended. But if you just want something to turn on that feels wholesome and light and enjoyable.
What a fucking demon. Okay, let's take this quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna spoil Demon Slayer. And we didn't have Hell's Paradise this week, so we're going to go to spoil Oshinoko. We'll be right back after these. And welcome back to episode 204 of it's 204, right?
Yes.
204 of Mic Check Waifu. Again, follow us on all of our socials at Mic Check Waifu on Twitter, at Mic Check Waifu on Instagram and TikTok. We'd appreciate that. Yeah, we put out some nice clips. I think we got to separate them more though.
Yeah.
Me and you put out 2 clips on the same day. It's not ideal. Can't do that.
I didn't realize you did that, bro.
Yeah.
I like had the clip ready, and I was like, "Where these 15 likes come from?"
But yeah, we working through. We working on trying to get our social media presence back in there. I mean, to be fair, I thought last week's episode wasn't gonna get any listens because it was full of spoilers. Y'all pull it up, and I appreciate that because I assume that episode's gonna be like our least listened episode because I was spoiler heavy, but apparently it didn't matter. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with us. That truly means a lot. And it's like the whole episode too. It wasn't even just like some of it. It was like they listened to the whole goddamn thing, which I'm shocked by, to be 100% honest with you. Yeah, damn, I'm really shocked by that. Yeah, so we're gonna spoil Demon Slayer right now.
Let's do it.
What was that? I like to do the episode that we spoiling.
Episode number, yeah. So,
episode 8. We're going to spoil episode 8 of Demon Slayer. This one was, like I said at the start of the show, not my favorite.
The issue with this episode, and this is the issue with all the flashback episodes. The flashback don't need to take up the whole episode.
Yeah, placement, man.
Yeah, I feel like, yes, the beginning of the flashback was very important. And not even the beginning of the episode was important, and the end of the episode was very important. The flashback, I loved it, but it just was like...
Overstayed as welcome.
Yeah, exactly. They could have did that differently. Like, made it flow better.
Yes.
And that's what it's up. That's what I figure this show is normally about. It's about the flow of the episode. And that's how they kind of get through some of these points. And because everything has been, we are in the middle of the shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we are in the middle of like the chaos and the ridiculousness. So the fact, the fact that they gave us a whole episode like this, where it almost felt like slowed down, even though the action was there, it was slowed down. So it's like, why are we watching this when they're in the middle? I need to know what's going on, bro. There's so much going on that this was a deviation, too much of a deviation.
Yes. The problem is we are too deep in to then take this huge leap back. Now, and what I mean by that, right? What I mean by that is we are so deep into the season episode 8. We started getting into the shit at episode 3. This could have been in episode 4 or 5. Whenever he first got locked in his water jail, this could have been there. Okay. Then we could have just continued with this shit. But this was right in the middle of the thick of things. Like, again, I understand the reason why they placed it here, because this was him coming to the realization to who he really is. I get the impact of it. I get what they're trying to do with it. It's just the placement was a terrible, terrible place to put it. You cannot you cannot be this deep into the shit and just completely drop the anchor. Like they put an anchor down in the show's trajectory.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. They dropped that anchor and it made it feel like, and it's exactly what it is though. In between that flashback, 2 seconds passed.
Right.
So we're at the beginning of the episode and the end of the episode. We get 3 minutes of Yuichiro actually doing his thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or Muichiro actually doing his thing. So the issue is like, all right, he's here, but we spent 18 minutes in a flashback. Yep. You got a minute and a half for an intro and then a minute and a half for an outro, and then you got this bullshit 5-minute exit. Yep. Like this is not a good episode because y'all did not place these things properly. It was bad puzzle pieces, bro.
Yeah, it didn't fit at all. It didn't fit at all. And again, seeing his backstory was very, very dope though. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't like it was a bad story in itself, it was just, if it was in episode 4 or 5, we would have been singing his praises. But I think we, and again, this goes to our like our review scale system, right? It's all about the placement of the plot for us. If it's not placed right, it won't be paced right. Ooh, I'm fucking spitting tonight.
I would even go as far as to say, like, if it's not placed right, it's not paced right. But the idea is that, like, for things like this flashback, and this is how we normally say it, the flashback is always better being threaded in than just dropped in.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
It's the same. You can't sew a shirt and just thread what you're trying to do the whole way through. You gotta implement it a little bit. So that's what it is. They just drop this in, and it's like, yo, bro.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that.
Exactly. So while I'm watching it, while I'm thinking this, okay, I couldn't help but to think, and this is what I did. The problem with doing it this way is the thing that I did, because you're doing it this way, is I kept looking at the time. I kept taking my mouse and I kept hovering over the time bar. And I'm like, well, fuck, this episode's about to end already. We ain't really do anything. So when it becomes, it's not due to my impatience. It's due to my I guess
lack of interest.
Yeah, lack of interest. Because now I'm like, okay, kind of go so we can get to the shit again. On like, but and that's sad, because again, the story that they're telling was phenomenal. It was a good story. It's not that it was bad. It was just placed in the wrong place.
Yeah, and whose fault is that? Not yours. You just did it.
So he had his twin brother. Cool. His twin brother was very mean, but he tried to be mean in order to protect him. Which I get, I understand it. I understood where they were trying to go with it, but it was just so much. Very beautiful, though. I'll tell you that much. It was very beautiful. But boy,
it was also very on the nose. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro.
100%. 100%.
His childhood almost could have been predicted.
That might be with every Hashira's childhood. Maybe except for the love, because the love seems to be so happy, but
I mean, like, his is like, it had to be so traumatizing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's when you have traumatizing events like where it's amnesia, it's always a twin or at least a closely, like, visually similar twin or sibling or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always something like that. And I was like, I hate to say it, but it was also because of that predictable in this episode.
Very
the whole
so.
time I knew what was happening in this episode. I was like, boom, they start the episode off like this. He pulling the needles and stuff out of his face or whatever. They go into flashback. Boom, flashback. Do the whole flashback, and I literally step for step. I'm like, okay, predicting it. His mom and dad died. Boom, brother's gonna be salty. Brother gonna be an asshole. Brother's gonna really be protecting him in his own mean way. Brother's really like his parents.
Yeah,
it was like a regular, playbook. If you saw a quarterback throwing his pass, it's interception every single time.
That's no different than what Demon Slayer is, to be honest. But their execution is still better than.
It's been on point, yeah.
It's still better than what this showcased, right? Like, yeah. I look every time.
I'm not even saying it's bad, you know what I mean?
Of course. And I look at what shout out to Black Anime, BLXXK Anime. He was a guest on the podcast, The Lost Homie. He was a guest on the podcast many years back. But he don't like Demon Slayer. He says the fights is good, but that's about it. And the reason why he says that is probably because of reasons like this, where everything is extremely predictable. Like, we know what's going to happen, but it's all about the execution and how it happens that makes it so special. You know what I'm saying? And again, what they have done well is properly placed their pacing to where it just flows extremely well. The show's been all about a phenomenal flow. And when it comes to the sword play, and that's pun intended, when it comes to the sword play, the fights, the beautiful animation, as well as the progression of the story, it just all flows so nicely. And they didn't need 25 episodes each, or they didn't need to overstay their welcome in order to do so. And now they got this blemish. This blemish is I'll probably say one of maybe two instances where this happened. I think during Tanjiro's training session, it was a little bit blemishy, but it wasn't as bad.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even consider it a blemish in some senses, right?
True.
Because it's not. It takes away from the overall show, like in like a small sense. Because let's be real. After this whole show is done, how much are you gonna go back and cherry pick on this episode and say this episode really pissed me off? This whole show is bad, right?
Almost none.
You know what I mean? Like I said, that's why I'm not saying it's bad. I understand.
If 98% of your show is good,
it don't even matter.
Man, that makes it good, you know? So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's not even to say, like I said, this is us, you know, showing our bias, but also letting y'all know that, like, yo, this, and like I said, it's not to objectively say this episode was bad. It just was the weakest of these episodes this season.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And then moving on to probably, listen,
a very, very, a very high contender for episode of the week, if we're being completely honest.
100%.
It could have been it.
Yeah, Insomniacs After School and Oshinoko, interchangeable. Again, I put Dangers in my heart because that show deserves more love. Because it's like not getting the attention I feel like it deserves. Actually, just for prosperity's sakes, I want to see what the ranking is. It got a 73, which is great, which is good. So it's getting the love from the overarching community. But I think it needs more from just the circle that we have on our 1,500, almost 1,500 followers on Twitter. So that's why Danger's in my heart. Because if it wasn't Danger's in my heart, and if Tell didn't pick Insomniacs After School, I probably would have chose Oshinoko, and then it probably would have been Insomniacs After School. Because I was banking on Tell picking Insomniacs After School because that shit was just so fire.
Yeah, to be fair, Oshinoko was a given though. You know what I mean?
100% given. It's what a great episode this was, man. It followed up perfectly with the attempted suicide of our girl. Thank goodness it didn't happen, and she managed to bounce back with big help from the rest of the people, mainly Aqua, but the rest of the people on the cast. And I think it was fucking huge. I think it was huge to see what the way she bounced back, because man, what it does is how can I say this? It shows the characterization of her so well because of she's known as the actress in this reality TV show, right? And the way that this is kind of jumping to the end, but the way that she showed that she's going to try to be the girl of Aqua's dreams, and how Aqua described his girl, and which I don't think they had enough for them to assume that it was going to be which was that's the only part about this that I'm like, that's a little much. You
gotta remember, they are all essentially, you know, celebrity-esque idols, and they know these people, you know what I mean?
It still was not enough, because they still made it seem like I was just this idol from back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And it was just he said, I need a girl who does this, and this, and this. Very specific things.
It's been about 12 years. Or
exactly.
10 years.
10 years. So exactly. So like for them to be in the perfect realm to just say is when it's been fucking years, I'm sure, of other idols having the same kind of, you know, I wasn't that one of a kind, was she? Probably, maybe she could have been, but
I think that's the importance of I.
Maybe that's the implication too. So maybe I'm just failing to recognize that, but outside of that little, just me being nitpicky, that shit was fire, because the way she came in was so fucking high. My mind was blown back, and I love the whole eye thing where they put her eyes in the inside of her too. That was God, I love that shit, man. This show is so good.
I think when I look at this show, there's a lot of things I look at, right? Like, I feel like there's an actual, like, and obviously there is, right? But I feel like sometimes the director of this show is directing their ass off, bro.
Whole time.
Cause I'm just like, hold up. I was like, hold up.
And this kind of goes
episode might have been too good.
It was too good. This goes into a point. Shout out to Nachi. Nachi said, we were chatting in the DMs. He said, yo, I went ahead and finished Oshinoko manga because I couldn't hold back. I'm obsessed with this series. You're going to love it, man. And I just want to say, I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it for the simple fact of what you just said. This fucking director is popping off right now with these episodes. And I'm so terribly sad, because this goes into what we talked about earlier with your topic, but I'm so terribly sad that it's only 11 episodes.
Yeah. But like, I'm thinking back on like the episode when they were doing the manga adaptation, you know what I mean, to a live show. And I'm thinking about that episode. It felt like a cinematographer was like, now and it just switched. And that's how this anime has done, and that's the kind of like the beauty in it, because it is a visually nice anime, right?
Absolutely.
They make sure the colors are popping, that kind of stuff, right? But they also make sure that when everything's supposed to be dull and dark, it is as dull and dark as it takes to make you feel gloomy on the inside, bro. They do some really good, like, just like the color theory in this anime alone is top tier. Top tier.
Yeah. What goes so well with it too is how it justifies a lot of its monologue. And I think that goes to what you said in a couple episodes back when they were doing a manga adaptation shoot, and he was going through his monologue of how he wanted to play this out. She was so beautifully executed from a fucking directing standpoint, from an angle standpoint, from a camera. Yeah. Like, it's just, everything was so fucking perfect. And then going back to this one, just the characters and their different personalities. While we didn't get much from the other male actors or musicians and whatever else was a part of this reality show, just the other girls. The other girl, even though this happened, she still was like, yo, I'm trying to play it up for the camera. Like, she's still her. And it's still like, I'm still curious to see what she really is. And I don't know, man. I need more of this shit. And I'm so sad that there's 11. And again, that's just me hoping that it's wrapped up nicely.
And a nice little bow. Yep. And even things like seeing Aqua's Dr. Brain going through motion, seeing the girls so what's her name? What's the girl's name? The one that's the actor. I don't need to know her name. All that matters is this. Akane. When she was in the room by herself. Akane. Sorry. Doing the studying. What made her in the room by herself doing the studying so impressive was the fact that before we watched it, every episode before this, when she was shown, she's in the background writing notes, studying, trying to make sure she is doing what she's supposed to be. The reason she got to the point to where even when she needed to slap somebody was where she was over analyzing and over studying and trying to figure out where she needed to be, and said, this is what's going to get me to the point I need to be where I'm going to get attention, and realized that when she did it, boom, okay, that was too much. But it's like they let us see her personality, and her personality is what took her to this point. And I just love how they tied it in without just explicitly saying, boom, there you go. 100%. They just kind of did it and said, this is who this character is. And they just stuck with it. And it's beautiful because that's the director saying this is direction. Yeah, because they gave us piece by piece about how meticulous she is about learning. And then they took all of that meticulous, per episode thing when they're doing this whole reality show. They put all that meticulous thing into her putting her full 100% effort into becoming an actor or an actress and becoming a character in order to please somebody who she now feels like she has a crush on, i.e. being Aqua. So now she's going to do her damnedest with all of her meticulousness and altruism and autism, because that's what she did was pseudo autistic. It was pegboard quality of just OCD. And seeing her break that down and her constantly talking about she does this here, she does this here, she does here, and just going at it like bow, 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 bow. Putting the pieces together like a detective, my boy. Oh my goodness.
And then when she turned it on at the end, bro, that's what I'm saying, man. When she turned it on at the end, I'm like, that shit blew me away the most and made me so upset that we're behind. And that's why Najee said, that's why I had to watch it, because it was delayed a week. I mean, read it because it was delayed a week. But man, listen, I don't think I want to read it, but I think if it ends on a crazy cliffhanger for episode 11, it might force my hand as bad as I don't want to.
Hold up, you know what that means?
Unless it's a core 2 though.
Come on, bro, hear me out, bro.
Talk to me.
I just need to. This. I don't need a gut check. This is my question to you. After your initial thoughts about Oshinoko, right? Mm-hmm. Just from reading the synopsis and stuff in the beginning, I need like a preemptive rating. I need to know what you feeling about.
I can't do that.
I
can't
need to
do
know
that.
what you're really feeling, because I know you feel like this has been blowing you back, and I'm surprised almost. But I knew it. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I know
say,
it's
you can't
good,
be surprised.
Right? I know it's good. Like, I'm looking at it and I know what objectively good is, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I am a little shocked at how good that it turned out to be, almost, in a sense. You know what I mean?
Because it's not an idol show, and I think that's where the misconception comes from. If it was a full idol show, I promise you, if it was just the drama with his sister, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it at all. If it was just her trying to make a band, I wouldn't like it. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't gel with that. It doesn't hit for me at all whatsoever. But it's everything in between that, and that weaves in and out, and the deeper backstory of him trying to figure out who the fuck got my mother killed, or even her coming down from the life that she had of the terrible cancer, and her passing away, her trying to become an idol, but it doesn't focus on that wholly. It's always something bigger and better, and it's not Bocchi the Rock, man. I tried to watch Bocchi the Rock, and people love that fucking show. I just can't get into that making a band shit, because I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care. I care about deeper lore and story and
the development and the intentions.
Yes. I can't get that with a making a band idol show. I don't know. I only seen like 2 in my life.
Right, making a band. But
and not counting Your Lie in April as one of them.
So here's my kind of last thing I want to touch on for this. I was scared in this episode, right? In a sense, right? Because of how we left off in the previous episode. I was scared because of Aqua's plan. I'm like, Aqua has a solid plan. I think it's a good plan. And I thought, like, yes, that's a good way to counteract it, because of how they set up the point of view, is that this is going to be directly from like their perspective, not the directors and the recorders and stuff like that. This is the actor perspective. I thought that was great, right? But hear me out. It was something about that girl saying, I want to edit it and I know how to make things go viral. I was like, nah, bro. I'm so damaged at this point that I can't trust nobody. I can't trust. I was like, yo, what if she do something and now the girl really commit suicide? I was scared, bro. I can't.
It's your American brain, man. It's because we over here, and the way we move when it comes to virality is so terrible. Negative, toxic, anything that gets interactions, like talking about Toei fucking One Piece animation being better than Mappa's or fucking Are You Foldable? No, it's not. But you're doing that so you can get likes and comments, so that tweet can go get 1,000 fucking likes or whatever, and you feel better about yourself. I don't fucking know. I don't know why people do it. I don't give a fuck to know why people do it. But
right.
That's exactly where your mind went, because my mind went there too. I was worried. I was concerned. I'm like,
hey, that's not what I want.
Now she about to make it even more dramatic to make it seem like, like the other girl, and make it seem like the other girl was a villain.
Hey, look, I always forget though that Asians don't have the same culture we have, bro.
Not at all.
And I know this is a little off par, but watching this show, something, it's like Power 100. It's about like fitness people in Korea or something like that. And they all have the best sportsmanship. They fighting with each other and like, oh yeah, bro, good job. We don't do that here, man. We don't do that. So I was worried about this show. I'm like, ain't no way they gonna just let her slide like that. They about to do something wrong.
Yep. When she was like, do you know when to post it at the time and where it gets the most likes and get the most interactions? I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Demon time. Straight up, man. Oh, goodness gracious. What a great episode, though. We'll be back. It won't be next week, unfortunately. It'll be the week after, but we'll be back with more Oshinoko. I think we should add it to spoiler talk for sure.
Let's do it.
It's going to be Demon Slayer, Hell's Paradise, Oshinoko. When Hell's Paradise come back, because obviously Hell's Paradise wasn't this week. But I'm at Polo Born Fly on all social media.
I'm at King Taliano on all social media.
You can follow our social media is at Mike Check Waifu on Twitter and at Mike Check Waifu on Instagram and TikTok. And as always, Mike check.
Did they hear me?
now tuned into Mic Check Waifu Waifu. Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you?